Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Will. We are live. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. In this video, we're going to be going over the top stocks for this week. I'm really excited to get into this. We're going to be using our StockMate picks. So, for those of you guys that would like to get a free book on investing using Robinhood, I would encourage you to check out that first link in the description. For those of you guys that would like to watch me trade live on Monday at Market Open, I would encourage you to simply take a look at StockMate. It's the second link in the description. For those of you guys that would like to surround yourself with other investors and artists, that's the place to do it. So let's get right into it. There's a couple stocks we have laid out for this week. I would like you guys to go ahead and, if you have a stock recommendation, feel free to drop it in the chat. If there's anything that you've been wanting to really analyze and see the technicals for, and maybe even some fundamentals, definitely don't hesitate to go ahead and send it in the chat. That's where I can make sure I can see that you guys, that I can see the recommendations that you guys make, and then we can go ahead and analyze the stocks that you guys are looking at. So it could be a stock, it could be an ETF, it could be primarily what we're looking at is tech stocks. We do look at AI stocks and some ETFs as well. So for those of you guys that are um, wondering what stocks should you be looking at, well, remember, it's all about what you see value in and what you think might be potentially a good deal. So again, if you have any recommendations, do go ahead and drop them in the chat. I know we just got started here, and that will make it easier for us to analyze some stocks here. So go ahead and drop them. All right, I see that we have Tesla from Thad. So that's an interesting one. Let's get into Tesla. What does Tesla look like? Um, so we had some analyzation going on Tesla that it really stayed true to pattern. I haven't touched this since last week, but what we saw, um, Tesla was marked up. As you can see, this drawings, we marked this up last week before it had its upward move here, and we saw it continue up after earnings. So it's really started to push back up. It's at a resistance now, so we could see it pull back, and it's possible that it will. But when we look at Tesla as a company, it's a really innovative company, right? Um, it carries risk. A lot of people like to see Tesla not do so well. For some reason, you have a lot of people betting against Tesla. A lot of people that they don't want to see Tesla have success, and it's something that has really just been on. I remember um, in 2022, I bought in September, and I remember watching it go down, and everybody was saying this company is going to go under. It's the end for the company, and really, we saw it fully recover. We saw it fully recover, and even after the robotaxi event that we had, the robotaxi event was right here. So we saw the announcements for what was a really amazing, it was a really amazing event, right? We saw them show the robotaxi, we saw them show Optimus, which is their AI robot. There was some concerns about whether or not it was fully running on AI or if they were pre-programmed. Um, but nevertheless, even looking at it, they are innovating with a lot of tech. This was after that robotaxi event. We saw it sell off tremendously. It even pushed below the moving average, which could be indication that we might have been looking at what was going to be a bearish outlook. But really, after earnings, it's not just they actually didn't really beat their earnings. The thing that they beat was their gross margin. So when you have a company that is spending less money to create product and their margins for profit continue to increase, that's one of the most attractive things for a company. So they actually didn't see, a big boost in revenue as far as their earnings. What they saw is an increase in the margin for profit, their gross margins on their product. So that's why they actually shot up. It wasn't really that we saw them crush the earnings. It was actually more, hey, they're getting really efficient with their automation of building their product. And so as they get more efficient, it costs them less money to produce the product, and that means they're going to make more money easily. So, and they can scale more. So when we look at Tesla, it's actually at a point where we could see it break out. And while I don't like to encourage us to buy something when it's overextended, which it kind of looks like if you look on the short term here, and we're looking at its overall direction, we could see that it looks like, oh, it's kind of overbought right now. You can identify this rising support, this rising resistance, and it looks like, oh, it might sell off. We actually could see it hit the resistance and sell off. Now, Thad, I don't know what your plan was. I see you commented Tesla. You want me to take a look at it. I don't know if you're saying Tesla is a buy, Tesla is a sell, or what you're looking at. But there's really two ways I see this playing out, right? We have either it's going to continue this smaller pattern of slowly recovering and it's going to pull back and we'll see it continue its upward direction, or the other bull case that we could see here is that we're about to see a breakout. So as you can see, we're at resistance, 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 all the way back here, right? I mean, really, we are seeing a clear resistance line, and even right here, it was acting as support back in 2022. It was a breakout right here. We saw it acting as support in 2022 September, and then resistance in 2023 and 2024. So what we're seeing here is potentially what we could see is it breaks out. And what happens when we see it break above the previous resistance? Well, I mean, the exact same thing that we saw here. When Tesla broke above previous resistance here and it became bullish, now it was starting to act as a support. So previous resistance oftentimes will act as a support. And you had a huge breakout here. Just looking on Tesla, not looking at the leverage 2x or anything like that, we're looking at a breakout of 50% that we saw when it pushed up above that previous resistance. So if we're looking at the same case that we have here, when it breaks above this previous resistance, could we see it get back to previous levels? Could we see it shoot up and really have a breakout and see that support act as resistance? If we did, we could see it push up to what would be another 50%. And that's assuming that it doesn't become a more valuable company than what we saw back in, what year was this? In 2021. And if it becomes more valuable, which is quite possible, we could see it push up more than 50%. Now, the interesting part about that is if you were trying to catch this breakout and you're trying to invest in this, and let's say it's, this last run we saw over the course of a month, it had pushed up 50%. If it pushes up that 50%, and let's say it happens over the course of a month, if you're anticipating that, you're able to manage risk, why not go over here to TSLL, which is the exact same pattern and the exact same Tesla outlook, but when it goes up 50% here, it actually goes up 100% on TSLL because it's ×2 leverage. Now, for those of you guys that are more experienced traders, you know how to manage your risk, you know how to, get into an investment and make sure that you, for example, set a stop loss, and you can move that stop loss up as the stock continues to go up, or down, you can cut losses. Then, using TSLL, that leverage 2x, might not be the worst idea, right? So, see, when is Robinhood Legend out for everyone? That's a great question. When I talked to Robinhood directly, they were saying it would be between 2 and 4 weeks, and that was last Tuesday. So I believe it was like the 22nd or 23rd, and they said it was going to be 2 to 4 weeks. So we could see, maybe in this next week or two, it should be available to everyone. But if you're having trouble accessing it, I also created a guide for exactly how I got early access. And I wasn't one of the first 1,000 people that tuned into the Robinhood Legend Awakens event. I actually talked to customer service. I lay it out in about 7 steps for you to how to get early access. It's that first link in the description of, or actually it's not in this video, it's in my last video in the first link in the description if you want to go check it out. Or I can actually drop it here. Maybe I can drop it in the, maybe I can drop it in my description here. But anyway, I actually don't want to go into that too much, but you can find it in my other video, okay? No worries. So again, Tesla, just, looking at the drawings and, really looking at what we could see happen. Like I almost want to bring in Fibonacci here, right? For looking at what this looks like on Fibonacci. If we see it get back to that previous levels of around $400 plus, again, how do you do Fibonacci? You're going to want to identify the downtrend. So we have a downtrend quite clearly from the top up here. We have a top and it's clearly downtrending, right? So we got lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and lower lows. If you take a look right here, the support, descending support, okay? So how you're going to do Fibonacci is you're actually going to go ahead and click up here, Fibonacci retracements, and click here. This is based on the golden ratio. This is based on nature. You see the Fibonacci everywhere in the world, and it's been used in a lot of architectural things in nature that we don't that Mother Nature put together. So what you're going to do is you're going to go from the lowest point and you're going to drag up to the point that you believe that it would reach. So we would be looking at, again, that $400 range that we could see it reaching. Now, what does that look like? Well, now you got to have these different levels, and kind of how the levels work. You have the golden 0.618 ratio is usually where you have your best buy opportunity. Now, we laid this out last week. That's why it's in our StockMate picks as a buy, because it was just entering and consolidating in this golden ratio area. So it did push up today, or it did push up the past few days after that. So it's still kind of in the golden ratio, right? We're seeing it really at the top. So it's still looking like potentially a buy. And if it pushes up above that previous resistance and it acts as support, now we're looking at 3 new levels that it could potentially push up to. And it's kind of in a range of good, great, and amazing. And that's kind of how you look at the projected profits when it comes to Fibonacci. You have the golden ratio here in that orange. Then you have the good in the pink. So this is where we'd see a good margin for profit. And let's mark it up to while we're talking about it to really say what that looks like. We could be looking at 10%. Now, if it gets into this purple here, that would be great. And that's kind of looking at what a great, really staying true to pattern on the Fibonacci looks like. That would be 28% or 30%. And then we have what amazing looks like. Of course, we're up here at previous highs that we saw back in 2022, and now would be at 55%. So when it comes to the margin for profits, I mean, there's definitely, a lot to be said there. 55% here, again, it's over 100% over on TSLL. So just keeping that in mind. Now, of course, as we marked up, it's at this previous resistance here, could get rejected. Could also see it if it breaks above, that resistance could start acting as a support. And it's always important to know that if you decide to get in Tesla now, could be a great time, but it also would be a time that you want to carefully manage your risk because, guys, again, if we just look on this trend that I just put in, it's pretty clearly on this consistent uptrend here. And if this is going to stay true to this and it is going to get rejected here, then we could see it get rejected and fall back down to that $220 range, which, in that case, if you're here invested and you were to buy, you could be buying at a top, which would put you down about 10%. But When we look at the upside, if it breaks above and starts in this previous resistance here, starts acting as a support, you know, the upside here, the next levels that we're looking at again in the Fibonacci was like right here, about 10-15% at previous resistance. And if it gets up all the way up there, then we're at 50% return on investment. So that's kind of the outlook technically. You know, fundamentally, again, gross margins was something that they increased. So when you increase, it wasn't even that they beat their earnings. Tesla stock is increasing because they increased their gross margins. So they don't spend as much money on making product. They are just automating it all, as you guys have seen with the robots, with everything else. And it's been one that I've been keeping a close eye on. And I'm glad that we pulled it up here. Thank you so much for that recommendation, Thad. If you guys have any stocks you want me to break down, again, when we're looking here at Tesla, simply put, we're at a breakout period. If we see it break out again, you know, we could see an absolute crushing uptrend that might even continue the overall direction that we saw here, that it could catch up to, right? And that would put us at a very bullish outlook here for Tesla. So again, we'll be trading live tomorrow at market open inside of our StockMate group. So if you guys want to watch me trade live, I would encourage you simply take a look at that second link in the description. So there's a few other ones that I was hoping to take a look at. If you guys wanted to take a look at ON, this is one that we got in earlier this week. There's a couple reasons why we got in. We have the consistent uptrend on ON. It's been really bullish. The other reason why I'm in ON is because they are a semiconductor company. So they actually build semiconductors for a lot of tech companies that are right now growing due to AI and things like that. So if you look here on the short term, just not even looking at that overall massive uptrend, and we look here on the short term, we have a support here and we have a resistance. And it's really bouncing here on the support, and we could absolutely see it push up all the way to the resistance. It wouldn't be crazy to see that happen. Now, if it continues up again, kind of like Tesla, and we see it push up above this resistance, then it wouldn't be crazy to see it continue in its overall direction up to previous levels here around $110. Now, if that happens, you know, we're looking at quite a nice increase. That would be about a 50 to 60% increase if it continues back to its overall direction. Now, if it just gets back up to this support, or sorry, this resistance that we've identified, it's about a 10% difference. So that could happen as well. And that's kind of what I'm playing on here as we enter the market on Monday. I mean, you guys will kind of know whether or not we really take advantage of this trade. If you're in our StockMate community, I would imagine we'll be getting in. We'll have to see based on kind of the pre-market movement that we see, and if it's a good breakout. Right now it's testing the EMA, it's testing the SMA. If it breaks up above that moving average, then we have quite a confirmation. It will continue up. Doesn't always, but it tends to. ON Semiconductor, or ON is one of those companies based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they are really innovating in the microchip space. So they're based out of SOXL, which is this index fund that we also went over earlier. It's simply put, could be an oversold index fund that we identified as something that might be a good look to buy. They are made up of NVIDIA. They're made up of the same companies like Broadcom and Taiwan Semiconductor that essentially supply all of the microchips for Apple, Google, Meta, and you have Tesla as well. So, you know, a lot of big tech companies kind of operate based on the available hardware, and this index fund kind of focuses on that hardware. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next video. Again, for those of you guys that would like to watch me trade live tomorrow morning at market open, simply take a look at Stockmates, that second link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.